Gracia-Otaku here. We're going to get back into page 244 of The Grapes of Wrath. If you've been here before, you already know what's about to happen next. If you haven't been here before, I ask for you to go check out the channel description before we continue on with the video. Alright, back to the people that do know what's about to happen next. Let's go ahead and grab our smoking items. Grab the eucalyptus that you prefer to ingest. Me, I'm smoking something called Baby. It's literally just called Baby. That's what the store had it labeled at. So, Baby. It's always interesting to see what this book has to offer next. There's been a few points where it's just kind of left me hanging, and I'm just like, well, I see no true point in what you're trying to express in this book, but nonetheless, they move back on towards the main characters, and that's what's important. The Joel family is what I'm taking the most seriousness of all this. Of course, there's a lot of struggle, famine, whatever you want to call it, all the fucking chaos in this book. It's not anything compared to what I truly feel for the family members that have already passed for this group and for the struggles that the current group is going through right now, especially Ma. Alright, let's get into it. Also have a bowl packed for later on. That was a little tiny piece. Alright. Page 244, sentence 3 at the top. And at the time went on, the businessmen had the farms, and the farms grew larger, but there were fewer of them. Now farms became industry, and the owners followed Rome. Although they did not know it, they imported slaves. Although they did not call them slaves, Chinese, Japanese, Mexican, Filipinos, they lived on rice and beans. The businessman said, they don't need much. They want to know what to do with good wages. Why, look how they live. Why, look what they eat. And if they get funny, deport them. And all the time the farms grew larger and the owners fewer, and there were pitifully fewer farmers on the land anymore. And the imported serfs, S-E-R-F-S, were beaten and frightened and starved until some were home again. And some grew fierce and killed or driven from the country. And the farm grew larger and the owners fewer. And the crops changed. Fruit trees took the place of grain fields, and vegetables to feed the world spread out to the bottom. Lettuce, cauliflower, artichokes, potatoes, stoop crops. A man may stand to use a scythe, a plow, a pitchfork, but he must crawl like a bug between the rows of lettuce. He must bend his back and pull his long bag between the cotton rows, and he must go on his knees like a penitent across a cauliflower patch. And it came about that the owners no longer worked on their farms. They farmed on paper, and they forgot the land, the smell, they feel of it, and remembered only that they owned it, remembered only when they gained and lost by it. And some of the farms grew so large that one man could not even conceive of them anymore. So large that it took batteries of bookkeepers to keep track of interest and gain and loss, chemists to test the soil, to replenish, straw bosses to see that the stooping men were moving along the rows as swiftly as the material of their bodies could stand. Then such a farmer really became a storekeeper and kept a store. He paid the men and stole the food and took the money back. And after a while, he did not pay the men at all and saved bookkeeping. These farmers gave food on credit. A man might work and feed himself, and when the work was done, he might find that he owed money to the company. And the owners not only did not work the farms anymore, many of them have never seen the farms they owned. And then the dispossessed were drawn west from Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, from Nevada and Arkansas, Families, tribes, dusted out, tractored out, carloads, caravans, homeless and hungry. 20,000 and 50,000, 100,000 and 200,000. They streamed over the mountains, hungry and restless, restless as ants, scurrying to find work to do, to lift, to push, to pull, to pick, to cut, anything our burden to hear, for food. The kids are hungry. We got no place to live, like ants scurrying for work, for food, and most of all for land. We aren't foreign, 7 generations back Americans, and beyond the Irish, Scotch, English, German, and one of our folks in the Revolution, and there was a lot of folks, our folks in the Civil War. Both sides Americans. They were hungry and they were fierce, and they had hoped to find a home, and they found only hatred. Okies. The owners hated them because the owners knew they were soft and the Okies strong, and they were fed and the Okies hungry, and perhaps the owners had heard from their grandfathers how easy it is to steal land from the soft man, and if you were fierce and hungry and armed, the owners hated them, and in the towns, the storekeepers hated them because they had no money to spend. They had no shorter path of a storekeeper's contempt, and all his admirations are exactly opposite. The town men, little bankers, hated Okies because they were nothing to gain from them. They had nothing, and all the laboring people hated Okies because a hungry man must work, and if he must work, if he has to work, the wage payer automatically gives him less for his work, and no one could give more. And the dispossessed immigrants flowed into California, 250,000 and 300,000. Beyond them, new tractors were going on the land, and the tenants were being forced off. The new waves were on the way, new waves of the dispossessed and the homeless, hardened, intent, and dangerous. And while the Californians wanted many things, acclamations. Next page. Social success, amusement, luxury, and curious banking security. The new barbarians wanted only 2 things, land and food, and to them the two were one. Whereas after they wanted of the Californians were nebulous and undefined, and wants of the Okies were beside the roads, laying there to be seen and coveted. The good fields, while water to be dug for, the good green fields, earth to crumble experimentally in the hand, grass to smell, oats, stalks to chew, until the sharp sweetness was in the throat. A man might look at a fellow field and know and see in his mind that his own bending back and his own straining arms would bring the cabbages into the light, and the golden eating corn and turnips and carrots. Really, I want to smoke right now. 1 second. I know where I'm at. Whew, that was a freaking mouthful and a half. By the way, this is what I got from Christmas. It's a water bottle. And has candy inside of it. When I eat the candy, I'm going to use it as a water bottle. Until then, just something nice to look at for the holidays. I don't care where it came from. I don't care who got it. I'm just grateful to have it. But thank you for the person that got it for me. Okay, back to it. If this thing don't stop burning, you're going to be burning my eucalyptus and all my breath. Right back to Yep, here we are. And a homeless, hungry man driving the roads with his wife beside him and his thin children in the back seat. Could look at the fellow's fields while might produce food but not profit, and that man can know how a fallow field is a sin, and unused land is a crime against the thin children. And such a man drove along the roads and knew temptation at every field, and knew that the lust to take these fields and make them grow strong for his children and a little comfort for his wife, the temptation was before him always. The fields goaded him, and the company ditch with good water flowing where he goad to him. And in the south he saw the golden oranges hanging on the trees, the little golden oranges on the dark green trees, and the guards with the shotguns patrolling the line so that man may not pick an orange for a thin child, oranges to be dumped if the price was low. He drove his old car into town. He scoured the farms for work. Where can we get sleep for tonight? Well, there's Howardsville on the edge of the river. There's a whole raft of Okies there. That don't sound nice. He drove his old car to Howardsville. He never asked again, for there was a Howardsville on the edge of every town. The rag town laid close to water, and the houses were tents, and a weed thatching enclosures. Paper houses, a great junk pile. The man drove his family in and became a citizen of Howardsville. Always they were called Howardsville. The man pulled up his own tent and nearer to water as he could get, if he had no tent, he went to the city dump and brought back cartons and built a house of corrugated paper. And when the rain came, the house melted and washed away. He settled to Howardsville, and he scoured the countryside for work, and the little money he had was for gasoline to look for work. In the evening the men gathered and talked together, squatting on their hams that they talked of the land they had seen. There's 30,000 acres out west of here, laying there. Jesus, what could I do with that? With 5 acres of that? Why, hell, I'd had everything to eat. Notice one thing, ? There ain't no vegetables, no chickens, no pigs at the farms. They raise one thing: cotton, say, or peaches, and lettuce. Nothing places for any of the chickens. They buy the stuff they can raise in the dooryard. Jesus, what could I do with a couple pigs? Well, it ain't yours, and it ain't gonna be yours. What are we gonna do? The children can't grow up this way. In the camps, the word would come whispering. Their work as shifters, and the cars would be loaded in the night. The highways crowded, a gold rush for work. A shifter, the people would pile up 5 times too many to do the work. A gold rush for work. They stole away in the night, frantic for work, and along the roads they laid the temptation. The fields that could hear food. Fields that could bear food. That's owned. That ain't ours. Well, maybe we can. Alright, Dad. It's a good time to smoke, because I can't exactly talk while Dad's speaking. Okay, let's get back into it. I gotta make sure this is out. I'll be so sad if like we finish this chapter and my bowl's just like completely ass. That happened to my blunt. Like I had a half a blunt. I set it down in the middle of one of these sessions, and by the time I was done reading, the blunt was just completely gone. Ash corpse was just sitting there. I was like, my mouth wide. Anyways, okay. Where was I? Fuck. we get a little piece of her. Maybe a little piece. Right down there, a patch. Jameson weed now. Christ, I could get enough potatoes off in that little patch to feed my whole family. It ain't ours. It got to that Jameson weeds. Now and then a man tried, crept on the land and created a piece, trying like a thief to steal a little richness from the earth. Secret gardens hidden in the weeds. A package of carrot seeds and a few turnips. Planted potato skins, crept down in the evening secretly to hoe in the sullen earth. Leave the weeds around the edge, then nobody could see what we was doing. Leave some weeds, big tall ones in the middle, secret gardening in the evening, and water carried in a rusty bucket. And then one day, a deputy sheriff, well, what do you think you're doing? Question mark. I ain't doing no harm. I got my eye on you. This ain't your land. You're trespassing. This land ain't plowed. And I ain't hurt nobody. Wait. I have my eye on you. This ain't your land. You're trespassing. And then the man said, the land ain't plowed, and I ain't hurting no one. You goddamn squatters. Pretty soon you'd think you'd own it. You'd be sore as hell thinking you own it. Get off now. And the little green carrot tots were kicked off, and the turning greens trembled. That's so fucked. And then the Jimson weeds moved back in, but the cop was right. A crop raised, why? That makes ownership. Land hoed and the carrots eaten. A man might fight for land he's taking food from. Get him off quick. He'll think he owns it. He might even die fighting for the little plot among the Jimson weeds. Did you see his face when we kicked them tubes out? Why, he'd kill a fella soon he'd look at him. We gotta keep these here people down or they'll take the country. They'll take all the country. Outlanders, foreigners, they screamed out. Sure, they talk the same language, but they ain't the same. Look how they live. Think any of us folks live like that? Hell no. In the evenings, squatting and talking and an excited man, why 20 of us take a piece of land? We got guns. Take it and say, put us off if you can. Why don't we do that, huh? They just shoot back at us like rats. Well, which you rather be, dead or here? Underground or be in a house all made of gunny sacks? Which you rather do for your kids? Dead now or dead in 2 years with what that's all malnourished and knowing what we can get all week? Biled needles and fried dough. Know where we can get the flour for the dough? Sweep the floor of a boxcar. Talking in the camps and the deputies, fat-ass men with guns slumped on their fat hips, swaggering through the camps, giving them something to think about. Got to keep them in line or Christ only knows what they'll do. Why, Jesus, they're as dangerous as niggers in the South. I am not making it past the age restriction on this one. This chapter is extremely explicit. If they ever got together, there ain't nothing that'll stop them. I'm giving a quote. Let's see, quote. In Lawrenceville, a deputy sheriff evicted a squatter, and the squatter resisted, making it necessary for the officer to use force. The 11-year-old son of the squatter shot and killed the deputy with a .22 rifle. Rattlesnakes. Don't take any chances with them. If they argue, shoot first. If a kid killed a cop, what'll the men do? Thing is, getting tougher as they are, treat them rougher. Scare them even. Why they won't scare? What if they stand up and take and shoot back? These men are armed when they have children. A gun is the extension of themselves. What if they won't scare? What if some of them armies of them marches on the land as a lumberyard did in Italy, as the Germans did in Gaul, and the Turks did in Byzantium? They're all very interesting names. They were land hungry, ill-armored border too. And the legions could not stop them. Slaughtered and terror did not stop them. How could you frighten a man whose hunger is not only in his own cramped stomach, but in the wretched bellies of his children? You can't scare him. He only knows a fear beyond every other. In Hoseville, the men talking, Grandpa took his land from the Indians. Now, this ain't right. we're talking here. This here you're talking about is stealing. I ain't no thief. No? Question mark? You stole a bottle of milk from a porch night last night, and you stole some copper wire and stole it for a piece of meat. Yeah, but the kids were hungry. It's stealing, though. Know how the Fairfield Ranch was got? I'll tell you, it was all government land. It could be took up. Old Fairfield, he went to San Francisco, took the bars, and he got him 300 stewed bums. Them bums took up the land Fairfield kept in food and whiskey, and then when they approved the land, old Fairfields took it from him. He used to say the land cost him a pint of rod guts and anchor. A pint of rod gut and anchor. I don't know what rod gut is. Would you say that was stealing? Well, it wasn't right, but you never went to jail for it. No, you never went to jail for it, and the fellow that put a boat in a wagon and made him report like it was all underwater because he went in a boat, he never went to jail neither. And the fellow that bribed congressmen and the legislators never went to jail neither. All over the state, jabbering on the Hoover bills, and then the raids, the swoop of armed deputies on the squatters' camps, get out. Department of Health's orders. This camp is a menace to health. Where are we gonna go? That's none of our business. We got orders to get you out of here in half an hour, or we'll set fire to the camp. Alright, page at the top 250. Go ahead and give another smoke over here. We're at 3 minutes left for, I think I can kill a page before we stop. I just got through writing 3 songs before this. I'm mentally drained, but I'm also, nothing can stop me. Alright, let's do this. There's thyroid down the line. You want to spread it all over? There's TYPHOID down the line. Tripioid. You want to spread it to all over? We got orders to get you out of here. Now get. In half an hour, we'll burn the camp. In half an hour, the smoke of paper houses, weed thrashing huts, rising to the sky, and the people in their cars rolling over the highway, looking for another Hooverville. And in Kansas and Arkansas and Oklahoma and Texas and New Mexico, the tractors moved on and pushed the tenants out. 300,000 in California, more coming. And in California, the road's full of fanatic people running like ants to pull, to push, to lift, to work. For every man load to lift, 5 pairs of arms extended to lift it. For every stomach full of food available, 5 mouths opened. And the great owners who must lose their land in an upheaval, the great owners with access to history and the eyes to read history and to know the great fact when property accumulates to the few hands, it is taken away. And the companion fact, when a majority of people are hungry and cold, they will take by force what they need. And the little screaming fact that sounds through all history, repression, works only to strengthen and knit the repressed. The great owners ignored the 3 crises of history. The land fell on fewer hands, the number of the dispossessed increased, and every effort of the great owners was directed at repression. The money was spent for arms, for gas to protect the great holdings, and spies were sent to catch the murmuring of revolt so that it might be stamped out. The changing economy was ignored, planned for the change ignored. The only means to destroy revolt was considered. While the causes of revolt went on, the tractors were thrown, men out of work. The belt lines would carry loads, the machines which produced, all were increased, and more families scampered on the highways, looking for crumbs of which the great holdings. Just after the land beside the roads, the great owners formed associations for protection, and they met to discussions ways to intimidate, to kill, to gas, and always they were in fear of the principal. 3 300,000. If they were ever more under a leader, the end. 300,000 hungry and miserable. If they ever know themselves, the land will be theirs, and all the gas, all the rifles in the world won't be able to stop them. Alright, we're at the top of page 251. I'm going to go ahead and stop here. Well, that was interesting. We're not exactly with our, and this session wasn't towards our group, so it's still a good read. It's foreshadowing history.